Welcome, welcome. This is our last podcast episode of 2024. We're getting it in right under the new year. And I had so much fun putting this episode together for you. And that's because through my preparation, I am getting to share with you a lot about myself and about this past year for me. I'm going to be sharing a lot about my business behind the scenes and even a little bit about my personal life. And I know that hearing about what worked well in my business, what didn't work so well in my business over this last year is super helpful for you to hear, especially because I'm going to be teaching a little bit as I share some of these things. I'm also really excited about this episode because I'm going to walk you through step by step a yearly business assessment and business building process. It's the one that I use for myself every year. And I am hoping that you will take it and use it for yourself or use parts of it for yourself. So much goodness in our time together today. Before we jump in, I do want to remind you that coming up is a free masterclass that's called The Transformative Power of Curriculum. Create a program as powerful as you. I've led this masterclass many, many times over the last 10 years, and it is such a fan favorite. It is 90 minutes worth of pure gold content. If you are a course creator or wanting to become a course creator, and you know that you want your curriculum to really be unique, to help you stand out, to really reflect your thought leadership, and if you want that curriculum to be really engaging for your participants. So I'll drop the link for the masterclass in the show notes. All right. So I want to start here as we look at the year in review and assessing the year. And first, I want to talk about why this is so important. And it's important to do a review and assessment yearly, uh, no matter what level of business that you're at, whether you've been in business for decades or whether 2024 was your first year in business. And it's so valuable to do this for a couple of reasons. So, number one, when you do a review and assessment, it allows you to take a moment, take a breath, and identify and celebrate your wins, right? And just that in and of itself is so important because it's pretty rare that we take the time and space to deeply take in what has gone well. We're usually so focused on what hasn't gone well, right? And thinking about that we kind of sometimes miss the things that are working really well. And then sometimes we kind of give them lip service or we note them cognitively. But part of this process is about actually feeling the goodness of the wins, really taking it in. The other piece about identifying wins and what worked well is that when you highlight what worked well in your year, it makes you better able to replicate or build on those successes, right? We always want to continue doing what's working well and oftentimes do more of it. So we need to know first, identify first what those things are. Another reason why a yearly review and assessment can be so valuable is because it can help you understand where things fell short or didn't go as planned. But here's the important part, without self-criticism or judgment. So this is an opportunity to really assess, where did things kind of go off the rails a little bit, or where did they fall short? And to do it in a way where we're not beating ourselves up, where we're not shaming ourselves or criticizing ourselves so much, but instead we're doing this in a way where we can really pinpoint the areas that need improvement or deserve more attention, or that maybe just aren't worth our time in the coming year. Another thing that reviews and assessments can do is help you identify ways to strengthen your relationships with your clients and increase client satisfaction. One of my favorite things to do, always, 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 and we'll look at that in this episode as well. And then, of course, reviewing and assessing is the perfect foundation to then create realistic and exciting goals for the coming year, and then create a doable strategy around that. So often people create goals for their year based on, I don't know, thin air. And of course, we want to have big visions and all of that, but the best visions are also based on strengths and gaps that have already come before. And then the last reason that I'll share, at least for now, why I love to do these yearly reviews and assessments is because it helps me really get clarity on what matters the most and to stay aligned with my purpose. It also reignites my excitement about my business and helps me reset my mindset and my soul set, my energetics for the coming year. So it really helps me personally too, as I move through my business for the next year. Now, I like to really take some time to do the review and the assessment, and I hope that you will too. I don't see this as a quickie, let's just get it done in 10 minutes kind of thing. I really treat the yearly review as a fun, I don't know, at least it's fun for me, and sacred ritual. I would really invite you to grab a cup of tea to have with you as you do your assessment, to maybe move away from the computer, and really get into a creative and contemplative space where you're really connected in with your business, with the heart of your business, and also with your inner wisdom. Okay, so with all of that, let's jump into the process. And I'm going to share with you step by step what my yearly review process is. And I'll also share with you examples of what came through for me in my review of this year. So, step one, celebrations and gratitudes. This is an opportunity to make a list of everything that went really well, of everything that you feel really proud of. And I want to say, I know that, sometimes in business, a lot of things don't go well, right? Let's be honest for a moment. And also, even in a time period where things don't go well, it is vital to seek out and identify and really own and honor the things that are going well. Maybe it's small progress, small steps, maybe it's inner pieces, etc. Right? So don't skimp on the celebrations and the gratitudes. Make a list of big or small, inner or outer, and really celebrate them. Don't just have it be words that you write down on the piece of paper, but really for each thing that you write down, take it in. Take it in as an accomplishment, as a blessing, as something wonderful that has happened. The other thing about celebrations and gratitudes is, as I said earlier, the more clear you are on what has worked and what the strengths inside of your business are, the more you know where to build on, right? Like I'm always putting down more time, energy, and money into the things that are already working well. So, some of the questions that you might want to ask in this step, and you go ahead and write these down. What were some of the most significant accomplishments this year? Right. And that's significant to you, right? Another question in this step, what milestones or successes are you most proud of? What skills did you develop or improve upon this year? That's a big deal, right? Maybe you took some time this year to really develop your curriculum building skills. That's a celebration. You want to take that in. So, I'll give you some of my own examples on celebrations and gratitudes from this year. I'm not going to share all of them with you because then this podcast episode would last hours and hours because I really take writing down all the celebrations very seriously. But I'll share with you some of the biggies. So, first of all, this podcast. I had been wanting to launch a podcast for a while, like for a few years, and it wasn't the right time. I wasn't ready. And finally, in 2024, even though I still didn't totally feel ready, it felt like the right time. I spent the first quarter of 2024 really preparing to launch this podcast in March. And we launched in March. And I am so proud to say that this is our 30th episode. Um, we did it. We did 30 episodes and we're going to go strong into 2025. And this is such a big celebration for me. Number one, because there's so much that I've been wanting to share in this way with the community, and now I get to share it on the podcast. Um, I'm also celebrating about the podcast that this is new for me. I usually share in community on Zoom, on the phone, where there are other people in front of me to play off of, to ask questions to teach and then coach. Um, it's a stretch for me to speak into the ethers in this way and pre-record without having people around me. And so I feel proud that I've done it. And I just want to thank all of you, our dedicated podcast listeners, also for all the love that you've sent over these months on the podcast. You've been cheering me on. You have been really encouraging me to keep on sharing because you've gotten so much value from it. And I really just thank you from the bottom of my heart. So, podcast, big celebration. Another thing that I'm celebrating this year, and this is something that I celebrate every year, but it is maybe the most important thing, honestly, every year, is that I got to make a lot of impact. I got to be in my purpose and make impact. We ran 5 major group programs this year, um, 3 of which were year-long programs. And we also ran quite a number of smaller programs. And through all of the programming, we got to help and support and inspire so many people. And there is, for me, nothing better than that. And through this year and all of the programming, we have received so much gratitude, so many spontaneous testimonials, just so much love. And I feel grateful for all of it. Couple other celebrations from this year that I'll share with you. I am really celebrating that in 2024, we hit almost all of our numbers for the year. Now, in years past, we've hit all of our numbers. 2024, we came close, but we didn't hit everything that was projected. But to me, this is still a win and a celebration, especially because 2024, my friends, it was a little challenging, right, for coaches and teachers and leaders across the board. And so to me, getting really, really close to our numbers is a big deal for 2024. We worked for it, and I feel really proud of that. We also, both me and the team, tried a lot of new things this year. And I want to celebrate that because we did a lot of experimenting. We moved out of our comfort zone. We did new things in the Facebook group, the Coaching Revolution Facebook group. It's been just amazing in there. That group is on fire. So much goodness and content and engagement happening in there. We got all fancy and we experimented with some split testing, which was very new for me. We tried using a lot of new software this year. I did more video, which was really stretchy for me. So, in general, my team and I were really up for challenges and stretches, and we did it. I celebrate that. Um, some of you know I finally wrote the first draft of my memoir this year. That's a huge celebration. Um, and I'll share just a couple of personal celebrations too. Top of my list is I feel like I had a lot of parenting mistakes this year, but I also did a lot of really good parenting this year. I put my parenting skills to use and they stretched, and I feel really proud of all of that and the relationship that I have with both Panina and Yael, my daughters. They're 10 and 16. I'm also celebrating a lot of really wonderful vacations. We had some wonderful family vacations. We went to Canada and to the beach and some others. John and I took a solo trip without the kids to Ireland. That was wonderful and much needed. And I even got a girls' weekend in over the year. And then the other personal thing I'm celebrating is that I did a lot of fiction reading this year. I read about 6 or 7 novels over the year, and that was a big goal of mine for 2024 to do more fiction reading because it's something that I just take so much pleasure in. I love it so much, and I had wanted to make more time for that. So, again, for you, please make a list of your celebrations your gratitudes, your accomplishments. From there, second step in my year in review is to identify, acknowledge, and assess what didn't go so well. And I do this for assessment reasons, but I also do this so that I can give myself an opportunity to honor and release any icky feelings, any feelings of frustration or letdown, so that I don't take them into the new year with me. And here's the thing. Life is messy. Business is messy. It's challenging. There are always going to be wins. And then there are always going to be things that didn't go so well. There are always going to be goals that weren't totally met. There's always going to be some heartbreak too. Often say, for those of you that, have been with me in programs, I often say, life is all of it. It's joy on top of grief, on top of joy, on top of grief, right? And it's important in an intentional way to acknowledge and own what didn't go so well and then honor and release, right? So that we don't take it forward with us. The other thing around this step is as we identify goals that weren't met, we want to take a look at what are the factors that contributed to that outcome, right? Why do we think those goals weren't met? Because that's going to be really valuable information as we plan our new year and as we create strategy for our new year. So, what didn't go so well that you want to honor and release, and what goals weren't met, and what factors contributed to that? And I'll share a couple of these with you. Again, no pedestal here. I have my share of heartbreaks and goals that weren't met. So, one is I made kind of a bad decision about hiring a consultant. And that bad decision kind of ended up costing me a lot of money. And I kind of wasted a bit of my time with that. Um, and I haven't really made that kind of bad decision in a long time. And trying not to beat myself up too much about it, when I look at what are the factors that kind of contributed, number one, I didn't listen to my intuition with this one. Through the hiring process, if I'm honest with myself, I knew something was off. I knew that it wasn't the most aligned match with this person, but I kind of got dazzled by their promises. And yeah, and so I didn't listen to my intuition on it. The other thing is once I hired this person, one of the reasons why things kind of went off the rails is because they were suggesting things that I knew weren't going to work, that I knew were maybe not so right for me and my team. But I just wasn't assertive enough to say no. We're not going to do things that way. I mean, I was with some things, but I wasn't assertive enough. So that's a big lesson and reminder for me. So that's one thing I honor, I release. I did beat myself up for it a little bit at the time, but we're all human, and I'm ready to let that go and not take that into 2025 with me. Another goal that wasn't met, this is kind of a goal that wasn't met, we did our first ever Black Friday sale this year. And so I'll celebrate that we finally did one. Kind of been wanting to get around to it for a few years. We made it happen, so that's great. But I'll tell you, we didn't come too close to hitting our numbers. The Black Friday sale, some of you might know, it was on my home study training called Authentic and Effective Enrollment Conversations. I have been selling that home study and also as a live for, oh, at least a decade now. And people love it. And we've made, sold it many, many, many times over through the years. But I've never done a Black Friday sale, and it didn't really work. And when I look at what kind of factors contributed to that sale not working, I see a couple. Number one, I only sent 3 emails out about it. I didn't send any more than three. I thought, oh, it's $97. It'll sell really quick. And so I only sent three. The truth is also the reason why I only sent 3 emails is because I stuffed the Black Friday sale in right before the launch that we're in right now for life-changing courses. And the life-changing courses launch is where I want to really be spending my time and my energy. And so, this was a big lesson about again, which I've learned before, I needed to learn it again of don't do a sale or a launch unless you're serious about it. Unless you're really going to put your time, your energy, your passion, your intention into it. So that was important for me to remember. And again, I could go on and on and on, but I want to get to the other steps here in the process. So, the other just thing I'll share for me in 2024 on this one is we put out a new member center this year, which I am proud of. We put the new member center out because we wanted to be able to embed video into it. And the new member center is good, but I like to do everything epically. And it's not epic. So that's a goal that wasn't quite met. And that's something that for 2025, me and the team are going to be working on, right? And it's good to acknowledge that so that's something that I can improve upon. All right, let's keep on going. Step 3 in the review and the assessment, and this is really important, is what did I learn in 2024? What insights have been gained and how can they inform future strategies? So I'm just going to tell you, on a whole, entrepreneurs don't spend enough time answering this question. And this what did I learn question, I don't only do it in the yearly review. The team and I do this after every project that we do because everything that we do in business, whether it worked really, really well or it didn't quite work, we can harvest learnings from it that we can take into the next project and into the next year. So we don't want to give this one short shrift. And I'll tell you, for my yearly on what did I learn and what insights have been gained, I always strive to have at least 30 things on the list. So Here are some, the general question is, what did I learn? But let me also just give you some demi questions for this topic that might help bring some other learnings to the surface for you. You can write these down. Number one, what marketing channels were most effective? What marketing channels were least effective? Are your business systems working efficiently, right? Scheduling, invoicing, client onboarding, etc. Another question to maybe consider here are what tools or technologies saved you time or resources? Another question, what bottlenecks or inefficiencies need to be addressed? Here's another big question on this step. Are there aspects of your business that feel out of alignment? And then a couple others to consider here. What parts of your business bring you the most joy or fulfillment? Well, what did you learn about yourself in 2024? It's a biggie, right? And then when it comes to your offerings and your client care, what feedback did you receive most often, and how can you act on it? How satisfied were your clients or customers this year? And what can you shift to create even greater client satisfaction? Right. So on that one, as one example, back to the member center for me, we're working on up leveling the member center even more to have faster video load times and maybe different layout. And I'll share with you a couple of other things on my list from what did I learn in 2024. Number one, this is something that I already knew, but it got reinforced even more. High touch is where it's at. So we as a team have always done high touch programming and high touch marketing. And it is, I think, one of the keys to our success. So in our programs, nobody is a number. Both me and Caitlin try to get to know as many people as we can personally. We do personal outreach. We're there to support people in between sessions. We go above and beyond. And the high touch not only makes is part of what makes our offerings phenomenal, but it's part of what has people feel connected to us and coming back for more and more, right? So just one example of this is in life-changing courses, which is coming up. Not only do we have all of the group trainings and experiences and all of that, but I personally give feedback to each person who wants it multiple times throughout the 10 weeks on their curriculum and their curriculum development. Such an added value. And it's what makes life-changing courses better than any other curriculum course development training out there. But the other thing about high touch, and this was particularly important for 2024, is high touch marketing. So, we really, me and my team, we did even more in 2024 than we usually do. We usually do a lot in terms of creating individual relationships with prospects, reaching out to people individually, getting to know people in the community. And we saw a big payoff from that because, as I always say, marketing at its core is about relationships, right? So that was a big learning for this year. I'll share a couple of others. Hopefully they're helpful to you. Um, this is a little learning, but it's actually like it's a little detail, but it's actually really big. So I learned that when you're doing video, like video for ads or YouTube or Facebook Lives or, Instagram Lives, whatever it is, you look better on the video if your camera is raised. So for years, the way I had my camera angle was it was kind of coming at me from below, and that was not a very good angle. And as it turns out, what I learned is if you just raise the camera a little bit, angle it downward a little bit, you look a lot better. So hopefully you can take that tip with you. Another thing that I learned this year, so I'm right now, as I'm recording this podcast episode, it's a few days before a winter solstice ceremony that I am hosting as a gift, especially for all of my Sacred Depths and Life Changing Courses alumni. And I'm so excited because already over 150 of my alumni have registered. I'm so excited. But the learning is this: I haven't led or put together a winter solstice ceremony for others, oh, easily in 5 years. And I forgot how much I love it, how much it means to me, how meaningful it is. And I'm bringing things into this ceremony that I haven't really utilized in years. And the learning is that I want more of this in 2025. So it's such a just great reminder to have more of what we love in our businesses. So many other learnings that I can share with you. I'll share just a couple more. Um, One is, and many of you participated in this over the summer, we did a 5 day free training. It was really epic. It was called Become a Referral Magnet. And I gave so much value in Become a Referral Magnet in terms of helping you activate more referrals in your business, knowing exactly how to reach out for referrals, all the things. It was big. But here's the learning. We also used Referral Magnet as a preview for Sacred Depths, for the Sacred Depths Transformational Practitioner training. And I've done 5 day trainings like this before that lead into a bigger training. But one thing we did differently this time, which worked so well, and it is a learning that I'm taking with me forward, is that I spoke about sacred depths and took the time to make an invitation into sacred depths every single one of the 5 days. And it worked really well. And I'll tell you, I haven't done this in the past because I've been like, oh, it's not right. It's too much if every day I share about sacred depths and, it has to all be filled with value, forgetting that the invitation is value, right? And people loved that I shared about sacred depths every day, invited them into conversations about it, and it really made our conversion rate for people into the program much, much higher. Okay, So as to not make this podcast episode many hours long, I'm gonna keep on moving along with the review and the assessment. So once you've done your celebrations and your gratitudes, and then once you've really identified what didn't quite make the mark and why do you think that happened, and then after you've identified your learnings, now you're ready to for the next step, step 4, which is to ask the question based on all that came through, all that happened, and all the learnings in 2024. What do I want to have happen in 2025? Right? This is where you start to vision and set goals. And because of the assessment that you've done before that and the review that you've done before that, your goals will be grounded, right? Of course, as I said earlier, you want a big heart-centered vision and you also want it realistic, realistic with a stretch. So I'll just share a couple things that are coming up for me in 2025. All of my regular and very popular programming is going to happen. The enrollment for life-changing courses, which is happening in the spring, is already underway. We're going to be offering Sacred Depths again next autumn. Navigating Client Resistance in the spring. Sacred Rhythms is going to be offered, as well as Advanced and other programs, right? And for 2025, I do intend to hit higher numbers than 2024. We'll see. We'll see. Another exciting thing that I've got on the calendar for 2025 is a website refresh. We're going to be working to make the Applied Depth Institute website even more user-friendly with lots more content and information. So I'm really excited about that. That also means that I'm probably going to get new headshots, which I've been putting off, but I am going to get them. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited for it. And I will share, in case you're wondering, on the personal front. Um, my word for 2025 is pleasure. My big personal goal. In addition to helping Panina get started with her college application process, but really the big personal goal for me in 2025 is to take more pleasure in all the things. This is like a lifelong learning and evolution for me. And just based on everything that's happened in 2024 and everything that I've learned, I feel really poised to step even more fully into pleasure. So you want to get clear on what you want to have happen in 2025. And then from there, the next question is, what strategies are going to get me there? What strategies are going to get me to my goals? And the way to come up with aligned strategies is to, number one, consider what worked already. And as I've said, do more of that. So we for sure, as an example, are doing referral magnet again. We for sure are doing a ton of high touch marketing and programming in 2025, etc. The second question you want to ask around what strategies are going to get me there is consider what didn't work as well in 2024 and how you'd like to tweak it. So, an example for me, this isn't something that didn't work well, but it's something that I see can be improved, is I started this podcast weekly, which was amazing. And I kind of had underestimated the amount of time it takes to prepare these episodes. And so after the first few months, I couldn't keep up with it. And some of you may have noticed I moved from weekly on the podcast to every other week. And that's something I want to get back to the weekly because when you do the podcasts more consistently, people listen even more consistently. So that's something that I'm tweaking. And now that I understand kind of the flow of the podcast, I am preparing more time in my schedule for it. Okay, so what strategies are going to get me there? Again, we want to look at what worked well. How can we do more of that? We want to look at what didn't work as well and what do we want to tweak from that. And then we also want to consider new strategies. So, again, for me in 2024, a new strategy was really upping the Facebook group game. Um, and in 2025, the hope, I haven't completely decided on this, but a new strategy is to really start working on Instagram. Okay, so as a review, we've looked at a lot today. Step one, celebrations and gratitudes. What worked really well? How did the business grow? How did you grow? Step two, what didn't go so well that you want to honor and release? What goals weren't met? What contributed to that? Step three, what did I learn this last year? What insights have been gained? And how can they inform future strategies? And then you want to look, I gave you all of those questions at different areas in the business. Step four, based on all that came through in 2024, what do I want to have happen in 2025? What are my big goals? Step five, what are the strategies I want to put in place to get me to those goals? And as a bonus, if you want to add a couple more things to this review and assessment and business building process, can write these down. Number one, what are the resources, information, and skills and support that I'm going to need in 2025, right? What is it to reach these goals, to get these strategies going? What is it that I'm going to need? So, for example, for you, if you know that you want to launch an amazing, unique, stand out from the crowd, incredible group program, maybe the support you need, just to say, is to take me up on my invitation into life-changing courses where I'll teach you exactly how to create curriculum, give you feedback on that curriculum, and really train you on how to facilitate groups in deep, meaningful, transformational ways. Another example on this one, maybe for you, you know that you need to build your copywriting skills, and that's something that you're going to seek out for 2025. Another question that I sometimes like to ask, an important inner question, is based on my goals for this coming year, what are the fears and the limiting beliefs that I know I'm going to need to work with? So if you're planning a lot of visibility, for example, for 2025, is there a fear of visibility that you know you need to work with, or a belief that when your close friends see you putting yourself out there in business, that they're going to criticize you, right? Whatever that is. So, what are the fears? You want to preemptively work on them. And then finally, one of my favorite questions, what is the energy that I want to bring this year? What is the energy that I want to bring this year? Because everything starts with energy, right? It's not just what you do, it's how you do it. So maybe you want to bring an energy of confidence or lightheartedness or curiosity or trust or community, right? What is it for you? What is the energy that's going to be needed for you? And again, you may be guessing, for me, I'm bringing pleasure this year. Okay, I hope that you loved this episode. You certainly learned a lot about me, and I hope that it was valuable. I really, really hope that you are inspired by the year in review process and will do a version of this for yourself. If you do, I'd love to hear what comes through for you. And as a reminder, coming up in the new year, we've got the 90-minute free masterclass called The Transformative Power of Curriculum. Create a program that is as powerful as you. I'll share the link on that in the show notes. And also, we've got a special rate on life-changing courses. And I'd love to see you in there if that's right for you. As always, please share this podcast episode with anyone that you think will really love it. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending lots of love.